For the love of the great nebula, Lysa. I told you to engage the quantum stabilizers before we entered the atmospheric barrier. I shouted over the blaring alarms as our ship plummeted through the stormy Earth skies. My twin sister's purple face darkened to a deep indigo, her species equivalent of a blush. Well, excuse me, Captain Perfect. Perhaps if someone hadn't insisted on taking that shortcut through the asteroid belt, we wouldn't be in this mess. Lysa shot back, her 4 slender fingers frantically dancing across the glitching control panel. I'm Nira, by the way. And yes, we're aliens. Not the probe-happy kind your ridiculous Earth entertainment depicts, thank you very much. We're respected xenobiologists from Proxima Centauri b, or at least we were until our research vessel decided to transform into a very expensive meteorite. Boom! The ship slammed into something solid, sending us tumbling across the cockpit. Rain pounded against the viewscreen as lightning illuminated the dense forest surrounding us. Damage report? I groaned, untangling my limbs from the safety harness. Lysa tapped the diagnostics panel, which responded with a sad little chirp before going completely dark. That's not good. 3 excruciatingly long hours later, we stood in the pouring rain, staring at our once magnificent vessel now half buried in earth mud. The primary engine core was cracked, the navigation system fried, and the communication array looked like abstract art. We could contact their authorities, I suggested, water dripping from my cranial ridges. Lysa gave me the look. Right. Because when primitive species discover advanced aliens, they always respond with tea parties and friendship bracelets. Not dissection and global panic. Point taken. But we can't just stand here forever. We need shelter and a plan. That's when we spotted it through the trees, a small structure with warm light glowing from its windows. An Earth dwelling. We crept closer, activating our cloaking devices, basically sophisticated light-bending tech that makes us look like soggy human females in hiking gear rather than purple-skinned aliens with cranial ridges. Through the window, we observed our first Earthling up close. Male, approximately 30 to 35 Earth years, with what humans call a beard and intent eyes focused on some kind of primitive circuit board. Look at all those tools in his workspace, Lysa whispered. And those diagrams on the wall, they look like spacecraft schematics. I accessed our data files. Marcus Wallace, I read. Former aerospace engineer for something called NASA. Resigned 3 years ago after some controversy. Lives alone. Lysa grabbed my arm excitedly. Don't you see? The great nebula sent us here. He might be able to help fix our ship. I stared at the human called Marcus, weighing our diminishing options. Perhaps. But we need to observe him longer before making contact. Remember protocol. Protocol also says don't crash on pre-warp planets, Lysa countered with a smirk. Yet here we are. We retreated to our damaged ship to make plans. One thing was certain. Our fate now depended on a reclusive human who had apparently turned his back on his own species' space program. What could possibly go wrong? #stranded stars, the human who fixed our world #Part 2, first contact. This is such a terrible idea, I muttered as we trudged through the mud toward the human's cabin 3 days later. Our ship's energy core had finally given up completely, leaving us with no backup plan. You got a better one? Because I'm all antenna, Lysa replied, adjusting her holographic disguise. Remember, let me do the talking. Your Earth English sounds like you're gargling rocks. My pronunciation is perfectly acceptable. I protested, accidentally slipping into our native tongue, which sounds like dolphins experiencing simultaneous sneezing fits. Lysa rolled her eyes and knocked on the door. The human Marcus appeared, coffee mug in hand. He blinked at us, confused. Can I help you ladies? Lysa smiled her practiced human smile, which looked more like a grimace revealing too many teeth. Hello. We are normal human females who are hiking in these woods and require assistance with our vehicle. I suppressed a groan. So much for letting her do the talking. Marcus leaned against the doorframe. You two are about 50 miles from the nearest trail. In a thunderstorm. Yes. We are very dedicated to the hiking, I added helpfully. He took a long sip from his mug, studying us. That's when our disguises flickered, just for a second, revealing our true forms. Instead of screaming or fainting, Marcus simply sighed. Well, that explains the purple glowy bits around your ears. He stepped aside. Come in before someone sees you. Though out here, that's mostly just raccoons. Inside his cabin, we deactivated our disguises. Marcus stared at us with remarkable composure. Huh, he said finally. I always figured you'd be grayer and have bigger eyes. That's a completely different species, I explained, activating our universal translator. They're from the Zeta Reticuli system. Very rude dinner guests. You've met other aliens? Lysa asked. No, never mind. So you're stranded? We explained our situation while Marcus listened intently. When we finished, I expected him to call Earth authorities. Instead, he grabbed a toolbox. Let's see what we're working with. I haven't looked at spacecraft design since I quit NASA. This might be therapeutic. The trek to our ship was filled with Marcus asking surprisingly intelligent questions about interstellar travel. When we reached the clearing, he stopped dead in his tracks. Sweet mother of, he whispered, dropping his toolbox. Our ship, despite being damaged, was still an impressive sight, its sleek quantum alloy hull shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. Marcus approached it like a human child seeing a candy store for the first time. This isn't just a ship, he breathed, running his fingers along the hull. It's art. He circled the vessel, examining the damage with growing excitement. The propulsion system is unlike anything I've ever. Wait, is that a zero-point energy manifold? Lysa shot me a look that clearly said, we found the right human. Can you help us? I asked. Marcus grinned, looking truly alive for the first time since we'd met him. I haven't been this excited about engineering in years. This is going to be fun. And that's how Marcus Wallace, human hermit and disgraced engineer, became our unlikely salvation on this watery blue planet, #stranded stars, the human who fixed our world ## part 3, the repair, hand me the photon calibrator, Marcus called from underneath our ship's propulsion chamber, only his legs visible. 3 weeks had passed since our first encounter, and our human savior had transformed from reclusive hermit to energetic engineer almost overnight. You mean this? I held up what humans would mistake for a glowing egg whisk. No, the other one. The one that looks like a space jellyfish having an existential crisis. Lysa snorted, passing him the correct tool. His descriptions are getting more accurate. He's learning. Marcus slid out, his face smeared with luminescent engine fluid that made him look like a deranged glowstick. Your quantum regulator is basically a more efficient version of something I designed at NASA years ago. They told me it was theoretically impossible. He grinned. Can't wait to not tell them how right I was. The repair process became our new normal. Mornings were for technical work, afternoons for cultural exchange. Marcus taught us Earth customs, like the proper way to eat pizza. No, you don't absorb it through your skin. You chew it. And we taught him about our home planet, our music, our sciences. So you're telling me, Marcus said one evening as we huddled around his fireplace, that your species evolved from something like our octopuses? More or less, Lysa explained. Though our ancestors had better fashion sense. Debatable, I countered. Great-grandmother still has pictures of you in that hideous graduation mantle with the pulsating sequins. Marcus laughed, really laughed, for the first time since we'd met him. You know, when I left NASA, I thought I was done. Done with people, done with engineering, done with dreaming. He gestured toward our ship visible through the window. Never imagined alien twins would crash into my life and prove me wrong. You humans have an interesting relationship with failure, Lysa observed. On our world, it's seen as a necessary step in discovery. That's how I used to see it too, Marcus said quietly. Before the accident. We didn't press him for details, but over the following days, his story emerged in pieces. A failed test flight. Decisions questioned. Blame assigned. A brilliant career ended by politics and scapegoating. 1 month into repairs, Marcus made his big announcement during our regular dinner. I've figured out the central problem with your ship. We leaned forward eagerly. Your hyperdrive crystalline matrix suffered cascade failure when it interacted with Earth's magnetic field. I can fix it, but I'll need to completely recalibrate the quantum alignment. That sounds difficult, I ventured. Oh, incredibly, he agreed cheerfully, shoveling mashed potatoes into his mouth. We're looking at another month, minimum. Does that bother you? Lysa asked. Being stuck with us longer? Marcus looked surprised. Are you kidding? This is the most alive I've felt in years. He waved his fork enthusiastically. Besides, we haven't even gotten to my favorite Earth movies yet. You think pizza was mind-blowing? Wait until you experienced Die Hard. We shared a smile across the table. What had begun as a desperate search for help had somehow transformed into something we'd never expected to find on this distant planet. Friendship, #stranded stars, the human who fixed our world ## part 4, the choice 2 months, 14 Earth movies, 23 failed cooking experiments, and countless repair sessions later, our ship hummed with renewed energy. Its systems glowed with familiar blue light, ready to pierce the stars once more. I can't believe it actually works, Marcus whispered, staring at the control panel he had essentially rebuilt from scratch. Did you doubt your abilities? I teased, though we all knew the repairs had seemed nearly impossible at first. Constantly, he admitted. But you two never did. The three of us stood in uncomfortable silence, the unspoken reality hanging between us like a cosmic elephant in the room. Our ship was fixed. It was time to leave. Lysa finally broke the silence. Remember when you taught us to swim? You were so patient even when I accidentally pushed you underwater and thought I'd killed you. Marcus laughed. And remember when you explained your star mapping techniques and I got so excited I stayed up for 3 days straight working on that hybrid navigation system? I exchanged glances with my sister. We discussed this moment extensively in our native language while Marcus slept. We want you to come with us, Lysa blurted. Marcus froze. What? To space. With us, I clarified, as if that were the confusing part. There's so much out there you can't even imagine. Nebulas that sing, planets with rainbow rings, space stations where thousands of species trade knowledge and technology. Your engineering brilliance would be celebrated, not buried, Lysa added. And you wouldn't be alone anymore. Marcus turned away, staring out the view screen at the forest that had been his refuge and prison for 3 years. I've spent so long hiding from everything and everyone, he said quietly. I remembered his face when he first saw our ship's quantum library, how he'd voraciously absorbed information about distant worlds. How his eyes had lit up explaining Earth's music to us. How he'd come alive again, piece by piece. I never fit in here, he continued. Even before. Everything. I always looked up instead of around me. Always wondered what was out there. He touched the control panel he'd lovingly rebuilt, his fingers tracing circuits that bridged 2 worlds of technology. But if I leave, he hesitated. You don't have to decide right now, I said. We can give you time. Marcus shook his head, a smile spreading across his face. No need. I've been making this decision my whole life without knowing it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the NASA patch he'd kept all these years. Looking at it one last time, he placed it carefully on the cabin shelf, a relic of a past life. "The universe is full of broken things waiting to be fixed," he said. "And apparently, I'm pretty good at fixing things." Lysa squealed with delight, wrapping all 4 arms around him in a hug that nearly cracked his ribs. As our ship rose silently through Earth's atmosphere, I watched Marcus press his hand against the view screen, saying goodbye to the only world he'd ever known. "You won't regret this, I promised." Marcus turned to us, eyes reflecting the stars growing larger in the view screen. "I already don't."